They always said I was just the mechanic's daughter, you know? But that day, the day the air in Tulsa was hot enough to peel paint and the sunlight bounced off the cracked blacktop like it had a grudge, I turned over the engine of a car that didn't want to live, set off a chain reaction none of them saw coming. No joke, I could still smell the oil and dust before I even stepped out of Dad's truck. My hand gripped his lunch sack, so tight the thermos made a thud against my ribs with every step across the gravel parking lot. Place was called Braddock's Auto and Diesel, letters fading on a sign that probably hadn't been cleaned since they first put it up. I was 17, but nobody took me for more than a kid until I opened my mouth. Then suddenly people found out, real quick, that I wasn't just there to play. You could always tell by the way folks looked at me, like I'd wandered in somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. And that morning, as soon as I pushed open that heavy garage door, I felt every set of eyes in there land on me. The air inside was thick with old sweat, metal, and that special kind of heat you only get from busted fans pretending to do a job. First voice I heard, Ron Braddock, the owner. Square jaw, always wore the same camo hat, spit cup never far. He grunted at me without even turning around. Your old man in the back? I said, yeah, brought his lunch, and held up the bag. But he didn't move, just jerked his chin toward the back and then kind of hesitated, sizing me up. Right then, his attention slid toward a beat-up '68 Camaro in the corner, hood open, engine exposed, looking like a murder scene. Tell you what, he said, and suddenly Leo and Travis, his regulars, went quiet, eyes following me. That Camaro's been sitting there for weeks. Nobody can get it to start. You're Eddie's girl, right? Why don't you take a crack at it? Now, I knew what he was doing, setting up a little show for his buddies, trying to get a laugh at the girl's expense. But silence landed so hard you could hear the drip from the radiator pan. So I shrugged, dropped my bag, and walked over. Just don't cry when I fix it. I shot back, and yeah, that got a couple snickers, but I didn't care. Pulled my hair up, grabbed gloves from Dad's old toolbox, so big I could barely keep them on, but I flexed my fingers like I was born for this. I looked that mess of hoses and wires up and down, just breathing for a second. Dad always said, don't touch a thing until you've looked and listened. Travis couldn't help himself, mumbling, you ain't gonna get far just staring at it. But I ignored him, grabbed a multimeter, checked the battery. Dead, but that wasn't the story. Starter was fine. Alternator, same deal. Ron got curious, leaned closer. Leo sat up straight, watching. 5, maybe 10 minutes. Nobody said a word. Just the fan and the sound of my tools clicking. Then I reached under the dash, traced a wire, and something clicked in my brain. Did someone rewire this thing recently? I called out. Ron said some guy from Norman had worked on it, charged him $800 to do nothing. I whistled, crawled under the dash, twisting around till I was basically upside down, and found it. A crossed ignition wire, done on purpose. That got everyone's attention. Someone wanted this thing to look fixable but never start. I said, sliding back out, sweat stinging my eyes. Suddenly, nobody was making jokes. You accusing one of us? Ron asked, voice a little rough. Nope, I said. But whoever did it knew how to waste your time. Then I started working for real, finding where the bypass was hidden, hands moving by memory. Funny thing happened then. Shop got quiet. Not just quiet like before, but quiet in that heavy way when everybody's realizing the rules might be changing. Travis, suddenly a whole lot nicer, asked how long I'd been doing this. Since I was 10, I said. Dad couldn't afford daycare, so he put a wrench in my hand and let me earn my seat. Leo wanted to know if I worked on cars at school, but I told him girls weren't allowed in the shop program. That hit him different. Ron's tone changed. He asked why I was sure it was sabotage. I showed him the false ground someone had run. If I'd powered it up, it'd have fried the ECU or maybe even started a fire. Leo whistled. You serious? I didn't answer, just fixed it. By the time I crawled out, face streaked with grease, even Ron looked different. He stood there, arms crossed but quieter. How long you think before this thing's good to go, he asked. Give me 10 minutes and a jump, I told him. He didn't argue, just got the jump box. As I got ready, even the silence felt different. Nobody wanted to break it. When I finally climbed in, hooked everything up, and turned the key, that engine hesitated, coughed, and then roared to life so strong it shook the windows. The look on Ron's face, I'll never forget it. Everyone in the shop just stared. Then, almost like they couldn't decide if they should be proud or scared. Travis finally said, "You ain't better than your dad. You're on another level." I rolled my eyes and grinned, told him not to let my dad hear that. But Ron's face changed when I told him this wasn't just sloppy work, it was real sabotage. "You think it was the guy from Norman?" he asked. "Maybe," I said. But the timing was off on purpose, and whoever did it left a GPS tracker in the glove box. When I pulled out that tracker, the mood dropped to ice. Ron took it, realized it was the kind repo men or car thieves use. "Maybe the car was stolen," I said, and that thought sent a chill through everyone. Ron made some calls. Turns out, the title might be part of an old case, maybe insurance fraud or something worse. I looked at him and said, "You brought me in to fix an engine, but this whole thing's bigger than any of us thought." For a minute, nobody moved. Then Ron told us to lock up the Camaro, not let it out of sight until he heard back from his contact. But that wasn't the end. As I was leaving, I noticed a white Chevy pickup parked across the street. Man sitting inside, didn't look at his phone, didn't do a thing, just watched. I texted Dad, told him something was off, then headed back in. Ron saw him too. "That's the guy from Norman," he muttered. When Travis offered to go talk to him, I said no. He wasn't looking for conversation. He was waiting to see what we'd do. Ron moved the Camaro out back, locked it up tight. The guy in the truck waited, then finally rolled in slow, real casual. He asked if I worked there. "Today I do," I said, not giving him an inch. He tried to fish for info about the Camaro, played it off like he'd wanted to buy it. But the second Ron showed up, the temperature changed. The guy warned us, said there was money involved and the car was supposed to stay hidden. Ron told him straight up if he tried anything again, he'd call every agency between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Guy left, but not before telling me to stay out of things that didn't concern me. I stared him down. "Then don't bring your trouble where I work," I told him. He drove off, and for a moment it felt like maybe that was it. But I knew better. That night, sitting on the steps with my dad, I replayed the whole day in my head, every word, every look. Dad handed me iced tea and didn't say much, just listened. I told him, "I didn't come here to prove anything. I was just dropping off your lunch." He smiled, told me sometimes life picks your battles for you. "You proud?" I asked. He looked at me, eyes soft and tired. "I've been proud since the first time you picked up a wrench." I smiled, even if my mind was still stuck on that car. Next morning, Ron called, voice tight. "Car's gone," he said. "No broken locks, no tire marks, just gone." I sat up straight, told him the man had been waiting for the engine to run again. Ron, for the first time, sounded grateful. "Maybe that's for the best," he said. "At least now he's not hiding, and I've got the evidence." "You didn't just fix a car, Janelle. You brought a ghost into the light." I hung up, grabbed my bag, Dad at my side. And stepping into the daylight, I realized I wasn't just the mechanic's daughter, not anymore. I was the one who'd made that engine run, the one who forced the truth out of the shadows. Doesn't matter what people say or how long they look past you. When you turn the engine and it roars, there's no denying who made it happen. So if you've ever been underestimated, pushed to the side, told to wait your turn, don't. Let your work speak for you. Let them see what you can do, and when you get your shot, don't just take it. Change the game. And hey, tell me, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? What would justice look like for you? Let's hear it.